You're watching the Onion News Network, on your side before you even know what side you're on.
Tonight, Starbucks locations across the country open separate lines for assholes who are too busy texting to realize they're next. Disney scientists prepare to transfer Walt Disney's soul into one lucky boy. And Congress temporarily legalizes marijuana ahead of Thursday's awesome meteor shower. Time to check the truth snares for lies and finish them off with a club. I'm Brooke Alvarez. You're entering the Fact Zone. Welcome to the Fact Zone. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to address something that's been in my sights. A documentary entitled From Space Girl to News Tyrant, the Brooke Alvarez story, aired on public television last night, and it addressed certain points from my past that I hope would never come to light. Many of you do know that I was born in Russia and spent my childhood there, but what you may have not known until now is that I became the first ever Russian child cosmonaut in 1971. In its rush to be the first nation to put a child into orbit, the Soviet government sent me into space. I spent 3 weeks in a tiny, poorly insulated capsule with very little food or water. This is true. And this documentary is out there, so, well, we might as well take a look.
Bronislav Alexeyev, now known as Brooke Alvarez, was forced to fight tooth and nail for her survival against a vicious chimpanzee named Mr. Dmitri, a lab animal launched along with the young Alvarez to compete against her in cruel experiments. The experience changed her forever.
Well, she was such a pretty, happy little girl, but when she came from space, she changed. She was hard and merciless. We were terrified of her. She always had awful night terrors. Always about the chimpanzee. She would scream all through the night. Mr. Dmitri, no, stop biting me. Stop biting me.
It's about 6 years ago. I was, coming in to read for the position of Fact Zone anchor when my car was pushed off the road and into a ditch. I still wonder if it was Brooke.
I've heard that most of her scalp is skin grafts, which explains all the weird little colloquialisms she uses, like some days the chimp rips all the hair out of your head, and some days you brutally murder the chimp.
Well, there you have it. It's all true. But to those of you who would view this as some sort of weakness, let me say this. I am immensely powerful and terrifying. Little Bronislav Alexeyev died in that capsule in 1977, along with a bloodthirsty chimp she strangled with wires ripped from a console. And from her ashes was born Brooke Alvarez, the most dangerous name in news. Now, this is the last anyone needs to address this issue ever. I consider the matter resolved. Okay then, let's get to our top story in Washington today. Looking to jumpstart the country's fiscal recovery, President Obama has turned America's economy over to Blake Morris, the man in charge of Zico coconut water.
The president agrees that it basically tastes like ball sweat. But you can't deny the simple fact that this stuff is absolutely everywhere. Anyone who can sell this garbage by the truckload obviously knows how to bring in capital, and we're confident Mr. Morris will steer the country into solvency.
All right, for more on that story, let's go to Jane Carmichael now in Washington. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Brooke.
Jane, you should really tip your makeup people. They've done a wonderful job today of covering up those crow's feet.
Thank you, Brooke. And I'm very sorry to hear about the horrible things you suffered in the Soviet space program. All those awful experiments, electric shocks when you fell asleep for more than 10 minutes, that terrible chimpanzee and the puzzle games.
Jane, I really forbid you to talk about this any further on my show.
It's just that it all makes so much sense now, Brooke. All the years of intimidating and belittling me, you really can't help it, can you? You poor, poor
Jane,
woman.
this is unacceptable. We don't need to hear any more about this Washington. We're done. Thank you, Jane Carmichael. Thank you so much. From Washington, Jane Carmichael, everyone. All right, okay. No one has been more vocal about the economy than the Tea Party activists, and this morning on Today Now, Jim and Tracy had an interview with a new Tea Party politician.
Okay, joining us now is a very special guest, Carol Olson, the Tea Party patriot who thinks she's running for Supreme Court Justice.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Tracy.
Good morning. Now, Carol, you're hoping to be elected to the United States Supreme Court, even though your critics are saying that's not how the Supreme Court works.
I am, Jim, but I don't listen to those critics. They're afraid of the kind of change I'd bring, which is exactly why I should be in there.
And the fact that the justices aren't popularly elected isn't going to stop you.
Nothing's going to stop me, Tracy. I'm not afraid to shake up the status quo. The courts need to be be answerable to the will of the people.
Now, of course, most people would say that that's exactly the opposite of the way the courts are supposed to work, but you don't care. Just incredible.
And you got a high-profile boost earlier this week when Michelle Bachmann tweeted, quote, "Can't wait till I can cast my vote for the next Supreme Court Justice, Carol Olson."
I have such respect for Michelle Bachmann. I hope that once she's elected president, she'll appoint herself to the Supreme Court and we can rule America side by side.
Now, the mainstream press has not been so kind. You've been called a distraction, sorely misled, or unwilling to accept reality.
Well, I will say this. If I were those newspapers, I wouldn't be making enemies with someone who'll have the power to shut them all down once she's elected.
Right, yeah.
Well, the people sure are excited, though. I mean, look at this crowd of your supporters.
Oh, yeah, that's a rally that we held just last week outside of the Supreme Court.
I'm pretty sure that's not actually the Supreme Court, but there's still a lot of enthusiasm there.
And this isn't the first time you've run for public office. Is that right, Carol?
Yes. Last year I ran for Celine Dion, and I did lose to the incumbent, but I gained so much knowledge about campaigning that I'm now bringing to this race that it almost feels like it was a victory.
Ms. Olson is currently on the campaign trail in Saskatchewan in support of a U.S. Supreme Court bid. All right, now for a special investigative report. Last year, U.S. officials seized nearly 600 tons of counterfeit goods. The Onion News Network's Gavin Fisher takes us to the murky bottom of the lucrative American black market.
Chinatown, New York. It's one of the busiest hubs of counterfeit goods in the world, where an underground network of Chinese bootleggers operates in the shadows, costing the U.S. an estimated $300 million each year. How does this network of smugglers manage to evade law enforcement? The Special Investigative Undercover Response Team was about to find out. If I was going to infiltrate the counterfeiters, I had to become one of them. With the help of the Special Investigative Undercover Response Team, I disguised myself as an average Chinese person.
Ah, most excellent.
And rigged my glasses with a hidden camera to catch all the action.
My name is Hong. Me new in town. Please to direct me to black market smugglers. This a powder bag of shimmerak, most precious jade. You would honor me by telling me where you got it. It is a counterfeit, no?
I don't know. Go away, go away. It was clear I'd have to look elsewhere for answers.
The revered elder. Please to direct me to counterfeit goods store. It is hard to find in the Forbidden City. You know, Forbidden City.
I was being stonewalled. But why? I spoke with sociologist David Kim about my difficulty infiltrating the Chinese counterfeit underbelly.
Of course no one's gonna talk to you. What you're doing is extremely offensive.
Ah, I see. You want the most helpful.
The sociologist helped me see that dressing like just another average Chinese citizen wasn't going to get me anywhere. In order to get answers, I knew I had to take a new tactic, appealing to man's most carnal desires.
Hey boy, you like what you see? You like?
Oh, not again. Get away.
Oh, me? You don't know me. My name's Cherry Pie.
No, you're not. Get out of here.
You want sucky?
Oh, I'm calling the
Want
police.
sucky?
I was arrested for prostitution. For the Onion News Network, I'm Gavin Fisher.
Okay, we have to take a quick commercial break, but first, let's look at the Fact Zone trivia question of the day. Which U.S. president was also a world-class magician? Find out when the Fact Zone returns. Welcome back to the Fact Zone. And now the answer to our daily Fact Zone trivia question: what U.S. president was also a world-class magician? And the answer is our 23rd president, the amazing Gabardini. Well, all right, we have some tragic news from Morristown, New Jersey now. Earlier this afternoon, shots were fired at a local mall. The Onion News Network's rising star, O'Grady Shaw, somehow managed to tear himself away from a mirror long enough to file this raw story just minutes after the shooting.
When shots rang out at a suburban mall, our team rushed to the scene. Was anyone injured or killed? Had the shooter been apprehended, or was he still on the loose? We had no information whatsoever. This was a raw story. The call just came in over the police radio. We don't have time to set up the SAT truck. Yeah, right here. It's just me, my producer, Glenn, and a camera. Buckle up. This is the north side parking lot of the mall. We don't know where in the mall the shots were fired. We don't know what's going on. It looks like a security guard. I'm gonna see what he knows. Turns out he wasn't a security guard. He was just a guy in a blue suit. We still have zero information. Where do we go next? I have no idea. My gut says that way. Come on.
I see an ambulance.
Confirmed ambulance sighting. You'll see the space by the curb where an ambulance was parked just moments ago. I can still feel the residual heat.
Where did the ambulance go? Was anyone inside? One thing was clear, this story had yet to unfold. I managed to track down an employee. Hey!
Oh! I don't know what's going on. I just saw people leaving, so I left too.
Did you see the shooter?
There's a shooter? Oh my God, are people okay?
She had no information. The story was that new.
I'm trying. God! Trail's gone cold. Let's roll out. Let's go. Go, 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 go. You have any idea where the shooter is?
I was being stonewalled by police, but I couldn't let that stop me.
I see a helicopter. I spoke to a woman who said that she saw a man being escorted through the mall by police. Could this be the shooter? According to the description, he was a male, aged somewhere between 20 and 60. He's either Caucasian or part Latino or something like that. He was wearing some kind of a jacket, and I wrote something else here, but it got smudged. However, that information later turned out to be false. The shooter, if there is one, remains at large. Needless to say, our thoughts are with the victims here today, if there are any, which we don't know yet. That's the raw story.
With us here now to follow up on that story is O'Brady Shaw.
Hello, Brooke.
Well, I certainly hope your perfect skin didn't get you dried out in the parking lot. I mean, your whole career is actually riding on that pretty face of yours, isn't it?
Thanks, Brooke. I'm fine. Listen, Brooke, I wanted to take this opportunity to invite you to come with me to Russia. We want to film a very special episode of Gut Check where we visit the grave of your mortal primate enemy, Mr. Dimitri.
No, I don't think so. Thank you, O'Bradley.
Brooke, I think you could really stand to gain some closure here.
Well, that was O'Brabbley Sharp with a very harrowing story.
I think you need to confront
Well,
this.
the Onion News Network's O'Bribblestein Shoemaker bobblehead. I think we're going to go now to live, actually. We're going to live go. We are. I am discombobulated. Let me get myself together. And now what's next? We're taking you live to Washington, where new government economic guru Blake Morris is testifying before the House Energy and Commerce Committee about how to make the American economy as successful as Zico coconut water.
Okay, Mr. Morris, with all due respect, you're on the government's payroll now. How are you going to apply what you've done for this awful drink to the American economy?
Well, it's really just about finding a loyal fan base with a quality product.
Tastes like sin. Palmberry.
Well, you should try the chocolate. How do I open this little box here? Is there a straw or something?
I wouldn't drink it.
Zico isn't for everyone. It's just a clean, quality source of minerals for
But we need something that can help the American economy. Some kind of magic, job creating, viral marketing, that sort of thing. Whatever you did here.
So what is it? Are there drugs in here or something? Do you use psychedelics to get people to give you money?
No, it's nothing like that at all. What we've done is been able to capture a market.
Maybe he's some kind of a savant. He doesn't even know he's a business genius. Let's follow him around for a few days, let him play with his coconut juice, and then we'll steal his ideas.
Well, this terrible coconut beverage isn't the only thing happening in Washington. Turning now to the political arena, Michelle Bachmann today implied that the media's coverage of her campaign is sexist. The candidate told a rally in New Hampshire that she believes that as a crazy woman, she's had to deal with scrutiny she would not face if she were a crazy man. Let's ask our first responders to see what they think. Joining us today, we have Duncan Birch, Laura Lee Hickok, and David Bairdale, whose opinions are sponsored by Acura. Is Bachmann treated differently because she's a woman with a frighteningly apparent psychological instability?
Oh, I don't think there's any question.
Laura Lee?
Yeah, every time she says something that's objectively bizarre about how God told her to adopt 24 children or how same-sex marriage is the #1 threat to this country, the press jumps down her throat. Now, they would not be doing that to Mitt Romney if Mitt Romney were visibly deranged.
I don't buy this for a second.
Oh,
now,
come on.
If an insane male candidate said that Obama was responsible for swine flu, people would be, they would be just as terrified by his ignorance.
Excuse me. Look, she needs to start running a powerful, responsive V6 of a campaign and stop spending so much time worrying about the media.
Exactly.
You don't see this Acura TL worried about how it's being treated. I mean, this thing can take almost anything people can throw at it.
Well, if all this is true, how does Bachmann go about throwing off the focus of being an insane female candidate?
Oh, she's got to beat her crazy male opponents at their own game. If they're going to come out and supporting gun rights for the developmentally disabled, she should come out supporting gun rights for dogs.
Exactly. That is totally accurate, Ed. Laura Lee. I'm 100% accurate.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, you know, when Bachman started running around last week, though, in circles, rubbing herself with mud and shrieking wildly, the media focused completely on what her hair looked like during the incident.
But when Herman Cain did the same thing just a few months ago, people focused on his insane babbling. There's a clear double standard.
No, that's because his insane babblings were claiming political points.
As were hers.
Yes, David?
I'm revving this powerful fuel-injected engine to show my support for Laura Lee's opinion.
Well, thank you, first responders. Thank you very much. Okay, we need to take a quick break now, but in the meantime, tweet me your thoughts about the new FDA-backed law requiring all fast food customers to eat in front of a mirror. I'll read some of your responses when we come back. Well, you're back in the Fact Zone, and we have a few of your reactions now to the FDA's new requirement for fast food customers to eat in front of a mirror. Tony Kamen says, now I see why you called Neil Armstrong a pussy that wouldn't last a minute with a chimp on board. Okay, for the last time, stop mentioning that infernal ape, people. I have spent my whole life trying to forget about him. All right, let's move on now. Earlier this week, police in South Carolina pulled the body of missing mom Sharon Mockler out of a marsh after her husband confessed to her murder. The news caught the attention of our own Shelby Cross, who for years now has campaigned for America's marshes and bogs to be eliminated. Shelby joins us now live in the Fact Zone studio, and with us live via satellite is Jason Popkin of the Wetlands Fund. Welcome to you both. So, Shelby, let's start with you. You say that our bogs and marshes should actually be paved over.
That's right. Absolutely, Brooke. These things are nothing but dead body dumping pits that make life easy for murderers. And it's disgusting to me that sickos like Mr. Popkin actually want to protect these things.
All right, well, Mr. Popkin, how do you respond to this?
Bogs and marshes are important ecosystems that should be protected. I mean, they're already being endangered.
Whoa, excuse me. As long as these human landfills remain open for business, what we're essentially saying to the criminal element is, sure, do whatever you like, and throw the evidence here in this federally protected black hole.
Shelby, America's wetlands are home to thousands of endangered species. I understand that you don't like some of the activity that may...
And how would you like to be stuffed in a steamer trunk and dropped into a bog? Huh, Jason? Would you like that? Have your face gnawed off by some filthy catfish? Would you like it? Would you like that?
No.
Do not interrupt me, sir. Look, I could maybe understand having a soft spot in your heart for marshes. I mean, it's a type of wetland that experiences continuous shallow flooding. Okay. I mean, I don't approve of it, but at least I can see where it comes from. But bogs? A mire filled with decayed plant matter?
Okay, Shelby.
Now, look, I testified before Senator Chuck Grassley, who wanted to lift federal protection on these lands, and what I told him is exactly what I'm going to tell you now.
And where is Chuck Grassley right now, sir? Where is Chuck Grassley now? Right now? Sir?
Probably in Washington.
But you can't say for sure. Is that what you're telling me? Could it be that he's sitting at the bottom of a bog somewhere? Why else would you be so hot on these wetlands if you aren't a murderer yourself? Oh-ho! Shelby Squad descend!
All right, good work, Shelby. It sure looks like you bagged another creep. Well, now let's quickly check in with the 2012 campaign trail over there at the Recon Wall. Tucker?
Thanks, Brooke. Mitt Romney's campaign took a big hit earlier this week after reports that he had slept with a prostitute. But those poll numbers are now soaring after the revelation that the prostitute paid Romney to sleep with her. Jasmine James, the prostitute in question, confirmed those rumors just earlier this afternoon.
He just has this sexy, sensual electricity that no woman can resist. He was very considerate of my needs. Very considerate.
Romney rose to prominence in the Republican Party largely due to his raw, palpable, sexual charisma, which stirs longings in the loins of females everywhere. Earlier today on Washington this afternoon, the Onion News Network's Jane Carmichael had a chance to sit down with Mr. Romney and speak to him directly.
Oh, well, Mr. Romney, oh my, I'm just, it's really hot in this studio. What is wrong with me? Just listen to me. You are so.
Brooke? Hey, do you still have the implant in you? Is that?
I don't know what you mean, Tucker.
Oh, well, the documentary said the scientists put something inside you to regulate your hormones just to make you and the chimp better friends.
Okay, look, Tucker. That animal and I had to fight for every scrap of food and every breath of oxygen in that 8x8x6 shuttle.
Yeah, that's terrible.
We are nothing less than mortal enemies from the first to the last. Do you have any idea what that's like, Comrade Tucker?
Well, I did get spit on by a llama at a petting zoo once, and I hadn't really provoked it.
My mission is to observe chimp and report findings. My mission is to observe chimp and report findings.
Hey, Brooke? Are you? Brooke? Brooke? You there?
Okay. We have to take a quick commercial break now, so stay with us. You're back in the Fact Zone. White House economic guru and former Zico Coconut Water CEO Blake Morris has unveiled his plan for stimulating the economy, investing every penny of the budget in coconuts. Now, so you can see here, coconuts from growers around the world have begun pouring into the nation's capital and are covering 50 square miles of Washington, D.C. and the surrounding areas. And finally, with us tonight, we have Dr. Marcia Talbot to discuss an alarming new study. Welcome, Marcia, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Hi, Brooke.
Oh, Brady, what the hell are you doing here?
I apologize for the ruse, but because of my endless compassion, the network has asked me to speak to you about your traumatic experience in space. Brooke, before you say anything, you've never talked about what happened on that capsule, and you need to, because if you don't, you're headed for a major psychotic episode.
Okay, wait a minute.
I know,
What is going on here?
Brooke, you have to confront the mercury enemas. And the fact that they gave Mr. Dimitri the chimp a switchblade and they gave you nothing, you have to open up about this, Brooke. But honest love, look at me. Look at me. You are in America now, okay? You're safe here. Brooke, are you with me? Brooke.
Я вас слышная маленькая солдатка! Я вас слышная маленькая солдатка!
It would seem that we have lost Brooke to a complete mental breakdown due to her sudden confrontation with long repressed trauma. I will personally see to it poor Brooke gets the help that she needs and does not return to the air until she's made a complete recovery. That's all from the Fact Zone. Stay tuned for Gut Check right after this.